Hi Angels. This will be the chapters 35 of You Are My Heroes by Lavender Thoughts 21 on AO3. Playground Shenanigans. Time to hold hands, Aizawa warned as he stopped at the pavement, Taishiro's house just across the road. Izuku grasped onto Aizawa's hand and Bakugo grasped onto Midoriya's. It was apparent the blonde still didn't want to hold Aizawa's hand, despite the progress made. Midoriya served as the bridge between them. We gonna play lots, right Kakan? New friend is nice. Do you know if he likes horses? I got 3, 1 for Kakan, 1 for me, and 1 for new friend. Izuku excitedly spouted off as they crossed the street. Said horses and other miscellaneous items were in Aizawa's laptop bag, which Hisashi likes to refer to as the man's purse, to tease him. What are you doing, Midoriya? Aizawa asked. When they got to the front door, Izuku let go of the man's hand and walked over to the kitchen window. New friend is up there, Shoto, Izuku said, pointing at the window. That's a funny idea, but you don't have to sneak around. We have permission. Aizawa told the boy, and the green-haired boy blushed, embarrassed at his actions. Izuku walked over, looking down to the floor as they made their way to the front door, Bakugo bumping into him in solidarity. When Aizawa knocked, the boy stayed behind him, cautious of what lay beyond the unopened door. It's not your dad, Shoto. It's the friends you made the other day. Come on, get up. Taishiro's voice could be heard from behind the door, gaining the man's curiosity. After half a minute, Taishiro opened the door, a nervous smile on his face and a hand behind his neck. Behind him was Shoto, on the floor doing push-ups and glancing up at the door. Sorry he gets nervous when the door rings, thinking it's his dad, Taishiro explained as Aizawa walked in. Izuku looked nervously up at Taishiro and grabbed the back of Katsuki's shirt. Bakugo looked around the house from what he could from behind the doorway, and then looked up to glare into the stranger man's eyes. Taishiro smiled at the blonde, but the blonde just sneered back. However, a spark of recognition flickered in Bakugo's eyes as he took a closer look at the man's sweater. Katsuki realized this was the same man that was with him at the convenience store. Bakugo concluded that this man was not too dangerous, that he was the nice man who let him play with the sweater when he was in trouble. With that, Bakugo walked into the house, Izuku following behind him. Hey there, Shoto, it's just me, Taishiro's friend, and I brought Midoriya and Bakugo. Remember them? Aizawa asked as Taishiro shut the door behind them, Bakugo keeping his eye on the stranger man. Todoroki slowly got up, finishing his final push-up and smoothing out his shirt. There was a hint of anxiety in his eyes, but the rest of his face held neutral. Hello, Shoto said softly, bowing his head in a polite greeting. Sho-chan, it's me, Izuku, remember? Remember Kachan? Izuku asked, and walked up straight to Todoroki, grabbing his shirt like he did Bakugo. I do remember you guys, Todoroki stated, trying to take a step back from the boy who was invading his space. Bakugo huffed behind Izuku. It seemed he was angry that the boy immediately abandoned him. Kachan, say hi. Hi to Sho-chan, Izuku said, turning back to smile at the blonde, but Bakugo had enough. No, Bakugo shouted, crossing his arms and looking away, making a clear divide. Bakugo, I said to be nice, Aizawa said sternly, but the boy just huffed, popping his crystal chew in his mouth and biting angrily. Aizawa felt like he made the right investment in those crystal chew necklaces. Be nice, Kachan. Be nice to Sho-chan, Midoriya exclaimed with a forming frown. No-chan, the blonde spat out his chew along with his words. At first Aizawa thought it was a mean nickname to bully the kid, but that wasn't the case. No-chan? The freckled boy questioned, confused. Shoto was behind him, tilting his head at the scene. Little guy sounds jealous, Taishiro teased, and Aizawa nodded, a small chuckle escaping his lips. Katsuki clicked his tongue annoyed and glared at Taishiro, but kept his distance. Oh, how about Shokan? Is that good, is it? Izuku asked, trying to compromise, but the blonde clicked his tongue again. Just Shoto is fine, Todoroki spoke up, and the blonde nodded, agreeing. It seemed like Bakugo didn't want the green one getting so close that quickly. Midoriya, however, pouted, not liking that his nicknames were rejected. Half and half, Katsuki offered. That's a little long, don't you think? Aizawa questioned the blonde, hopeful that it would make him drop that nickname. How about just Sho? Can we call you Sho? Izuku asked excitedly, but the boy just shrugged. Taishiro perked up at familiar nickname. It wasn't heavily used, but Aizawa was occasionally called Sho in passing. It was his husband who mostly called him that, since he's the one who coined it. Shouta gave a knowing smile and shrugged to his friend when he saw Taishiro get unsure. It wouldn't be a problem if the kids used his nickname for the new kid. Besides, they won't be here long. Like me? Midoriya asked, and Shoto looked at the boy for a second before nodding. Without a warning, Izuku grabbed onto Shoto's shoulders and hopped up, forcing the bicolored boy to carry him in his arms. The surprise made him shuffle a bit, but he quickly readjusted and carried the boy bridal style. Wow, that's so cool, right, Kachin? Izuku asked, and the blonde huffed and rolled his eyes. Bakugo took his first steps closer to the stranger kid and grabbed Izuku, lifting the boy out of Shoto's arms and raising him up, though he did unsteadily. Kakin is strong too. Can I try? Can I try ups, Kachin? Izuku asked, getting off the boy's arms. Aizawa and Taishiro stood and watched the boys get to know each other, while they stood back and chatted. You said he's not eating well. Aizawa questioned Taishiro, starting their private conversation. I've asked about the food, but they won't tell me anything. Said he won't be here long anyway. He's been eating soba, but he won't eat anything else. His father hasn't approved. It's like he's scared to eat the wrong thing. He ate some pie the other day, right? Aizawa questioned. Apple pie wasn't exactly healthy. That's why I wanted you guys to come over. I think he ate a couple of bites of the pie because he was with your boys. I want to see if I can get him to eat something while you guys are here for lunch. Taishiro explained, and Aizawa nodded thoughtfully. That's good thinking. Try making a healthy meal like chicken and broccoli. If his father has him training, he's probably used to protein and vegetables, Aizawa suggested. As the adults held their conversation, the kids were busy messing around. Izuku was trying to lift Katsuki, but the boy couldn't lift him an inch without his hands trembling. I can't! Izuku cried out, letting go and huffing from the effort. You are the youngest, Izuku. You'll get stronger in time. Aizawa encouraged the boy, stopping his conversation for a second as he heard the boy's negative comment. Youngest. How old are you, Sho? Midoriya questioned. I turned 5 recently, Shoto told them, and instantly Midoriya's eyes shined. Unlike Izuku, Bakugo didn't take Todoroki being older than him lightly. Instead, he pursed his lips in jealousy. You 2 years more than me. Kachin is going to be 4 in a little bit. Right, Aizawa? Izuku exclaimed, asking Aizawa for the correct date. To him, every adult knows how old they were and when they completed a year. However, Aizawa had a good memory and didn't let the boy down by not knowing. Yeah, Katsuki turns 4 in about 2 months from now. Aizawa helped the kid out. Impressed, the boy knew it was almost around his friend's birthday. You're very small for being almost 4. What's your BMI? Shoto asked the blonde, taking note of not only his small size but also Izuku's. The adults in the room were stunned into silence that even Shoto could tell the boys were underweight. Bakugo, however, didn't take kindly to the judgment of his appearance, sneering and huffing angrily. Fetch fuck off, brat, I'm not weak. Bakugo shouted, his teeth grinding as he glared at Shoto, stuttering at first, but the rest was said perfectly. The line sounded rehearsed. Bakugo, no bad words, Aizawa scolded. I didn't say you were weak, I said you were small. Shoto reiterated, but it just caused the blonde to be more ups. Bakugo was trembling in anger as he walked closer to Todoroki in a wide stance, grinding his teeth as he grabbed Shoto's shirt collar. Aizawa opened his mouth to scold the boy again and even made a step toward the scene, but Midoriya stepped in instead. Kakin, he not being mean. We are small, we little, like 2-year littler. Izuku spoke up in defense of his new friend, eyes shining with foaming tears as he grabbed a hold of the back of Bakugo's shirt. Katsuki looked back at Izuku and saw the tears threatening to fall and immediately let go of Shoto's shirt. Todoroki was more confused than afraid by Katsuki's actions, which seemed to piss the blonde off more. But instead of being aggressive, Bakugo just clicked his tongue annoyed and crossed his arms. Hey, let's get along, okay? Aizawa spoke up, staring specifically at Bakugo. How about we go outside? Come on, Shoto, you can show them the playground. Taishiro suggested, and the boy nodded, fixing his worn shirt collar. Outside, Izuku mimicked excitedly, the moistness in his eyes disappearing. Taishiro led the way to the back of his house, making suspenseful humming as he opened the door to the backyard. Ta-da! That thing is brand spanking new, Taishiro said, a personal playground taking up a corner of the backyard. Ikachin, look! Look, it's a play tower! Midoriya shouted, jumping up and down as he spotted the playground. Shh! Bakugo shushed Izuku at his sudden loudness, and the boy instantly stiffened, looking back at the adults warily, especially at Taishiro. No shushing, Bakugo. You are allowed to be loud when we are outside, okay? Aizawa said, wondering if maybe he should play music on his phone again. Bakugo nodded, but still had a nervous look in his eyes, looking back constantly to Taishiro and Aizawa. It's okay, kid. You can be loud if you want. Just have fun, Taishiro said, giving the blonde a smile which the boy quickly looked away from. Taishiro, when did you buy this? Aizawa questioned. Oh, I bought it the day before Sho showed up. It took forever to assemble, but I got it done before the kid arrived. I was actually going to ask you for help, but it was the same day you got those two. Taishiro explained, but Aizawa couldn't believe the man set that up in less than a day. Something like this. An example of the playground. Midoriya ran to the playground, running around the thing to gawk and flap his hands in the excitement. Bakugo and Shoto followed silently behind him, but the reason for their silence was different. Katsuki was just as excited as Midoriya was, but didn't want to upset the grown-ups by being loud. Shoto, however, was confused by the green-haired boy's excitement at the equipment. It took a long time to assemble the thing, but I thought about the smile a child would get after seeing this. I was expecting something like that. Tashiro said, pointing at Izuku, who was running around, hand flapping and staring wide-eyed at the new fun. But Sho didn't understand the purpose. The look on his face when he first saw it kinda made me regret buying the damn thing. Taishiro told Aizawa in a hushed tone, a hint of disappointment in his voice. What do you mean? Aizawa questioned. Before Taishiro could answer, a conversation between the boys explained everything. Sho, let's play, Izuku said excitedly, grabbing onto the boy's arm and pulling him towards the playground. That's a training ground, isn't it? Are you guys training too? Shoto asked, his eye growing wide as he stared at the playground with unease. In that instant, Aizawa understood what his friend meant. Huh? Izuku mumbled, Bakugo tilting his head confused as well. I told you that's not for training, Sho. It's for fun. Taishiro tried to explain again, but the boy still looked dumbfounded. Izuku, darling, can you show Shoto how to play? Aizawa urged Midoriya to help the boy out. How to play? Play easy, just play! Like this? Come on, Kachan, Izuku said more enthusiastically, grabbing the blonde by the arm and practically dragging Bakugo up the stairs. From the top, he ran around the small area multiple times before choosing the smaller slide. Wee! Midoriya giggled as he let go of Katsuki's hand and slid down the green slide, landing a couple of feet away from Shoto. See, like that? Your turn, Midoriya encouraged as Bakugo slid after him. Shoto nodded and looked at the playground with apprehension. With a big breath, Shoto started his mission by using the rope and climbing walls to make his way up to the slide faster. Once at the top, the boy sat down quickly and roughly pushed himself down the slide. In less than 5 seconds, he was up and down, in front of Midoriya. Was my time good? Shoto asked, not even out of breath. Time? Izuku questioned, confused, a little unease in his eyes as he saw how Todoroki didn't have fun. Forget about time, kid. Just do what you like. Taishiro told him, but Shoto still looked confused. Yeah, what like from that? Midoriya questioned, pointing at the playground. I don't know, Todoroki said, puzzled, as he looked at all the attachments of the playground. Kachan is the swings, Midoriya said as Bakugo sat on the swing being low enough for the boy to swing himself. I'm pretty good at that thing, Shoto said, pointing at the swinging trapeze bar next to Bakugo. Shoto lifted himself from the handlebars and flipped over to grab hold of the bar with his back knees, successfully bringing himself upside down. Wow, so cool, very strong, right, Kaken? Izuku giggled as Todoroki was upside down. Bakugo clicked his tongue, annoyed at Shoto's amazing athleticism. To one-up him, Bakugo decided to try his best on the swings. He once saw a boy much older than himself swing past the bar and almost around. In Katsuki's mind, if he could do that, Todoroki wouldn't be as much ahead of him. Your face is funny, Izuku giggled as Todoroki's face got red from being upside down, trying his best to make it as long as he could upside down. What is funny about my face? Todoroki asked, confused, as he flipped himself back right side up. Red, Midoriya explained. Oh, that happens when I train, Shoto explained, and he looked over at Taishiro. Aizawa and the man were talking, leaning against the wall, joking about Taishiro needing to buy a couple of lawn chairs rather than $1,000 playground to fit in his mostly empty backyard. Mr. Toyomitsu, should I really be near them? If this is only play, my dad will get mad. I'm not supposed to. Todoroki walked up to his caretaker for confirmation, not used to being around kids in a playful environment. Don't worry about that, buddy. Just try to have fun, okay? Taishiro tried to convince the boy, but Shoto still felt uneasy. Sho, come try swing! Izuku ran over and grabbed the boy's arm, dragging him to the swing next to Katsuki. Todoroki, not used to the boldness and lack of personal space, let the boy who was smaller than him drag him around. Shoto wasn't sure why Izuku was trying to play with him. Is the difference between them not obvious? This type of play was not for him. It was a different world where he wasn't allowed to inhabit. Bakugo was already swinging and was starting to get momentum. Izuku had sat Todoroki in the middle of the 3-swing set, meaning Midoriya was furthest from Katsuki. Taking the example from Bakugo, Shoto began to swing like the blonde. After a couple of moments, Todoroki was beginning to catch up in height with Katsuki. Comprehending this, Bakugo clicked his tongue, annoyed, and tried his best to keep ahead of the bi-colored boy, kicking his little feet back and forth with as much force as he could muster. Seeing this, Todoroki didn't get that it was an unspoken competition, and instead worked up to Bakugo's pace. The one-sided competition gave strength to Bakugo, in which he channeled all of his strength to keep himself above Todoroki. However, no matter how hard he tried, Bakugu wasn't a match for Shoto's body weight and expertise in timing. With just a few pumps of his legs and a couple of well-timed swings, Todoroki was right beside Bakugu, feet in the air. "So tall!" Izuku exclaimed as he tried to swing as high as the other boys, but failed to swing his legs at the right time. Bakugu sneered back at Todoroki, making the boy confused, and the blonde kept his best at swinging, using all his weight and throwing himself as he went for the final push to make it past the height of the bar. For a second, all Bakugu could see was the sky as he made it past the safe height. He was mesmerized as he felt himself lose touch with gravity, and just for that second he thought he had launched himself into the vast sky and to the space beyond. In that moment he lost all envy, curiosity replacing it as he wondered what was beyond the clouds. That foolish thought instinctively made his fist around the swing chains loosen, and he was launched right out into the sky. "Shit," Bakugu said as the feeling of falling made him slap back into reality, because up there went gravity. Luckily for him, the adults were supervising and had sensed the impending danger, miles away. Aizawa leaned back into the wall of the house, trusting Taishiro to handle this one. Midair Bakugu wavered, preparing to land on the grass and get a couple of bruises. Closing his eyes, the blonde prepared for the worst as he anticipated his meet with the hard ground. "I got you." Taisho's voice surprised Bakugu more than the sudden appearance beneath him. Bakugu tried to move out of the way from crashing into the man, fearing pain for both of them, but instead found himself being absorbed into the man's sweater. The impact of the crash made Taishiro fall onto his back, but there was no pain. Quirk activated. Taishiro took in all the impact of Bakugu's fall and held the boy close to avoid a bounce back. "There you go, you're safe," Taishiro said softly as he released his grip from the boy. Those words, "you're safe," made Bakugu feel better about the man, not only because of Taishiro's soft tone, but also his action of saving him just now. Embarrassed by the mistake, the blonde was red on his face as he looked back at Todoroki, who was still swinging high on the swing set. "Wow, so ups!" "Almost went in circle," Midoriya exclaimed, skidding his feet to a stop. "Is that the objective?" Todoroki questioned, swinging back with all his force to get higher. "Wait, that's not safe," Taishiro tried to warn the boy, but Shoto had already gained enough momentum to go around. With one last swing backward, Todoroki launched his feet forward and felt gravity lose its grip on him as he made it around the bar, the chains clicking on the metal bar as it wrapped around. Everyone was looking at him wide-eyed, especially Bakugu, who had his mouth parted with astonishment. "That was so cool. Cool. Show us the coolest." "Right, Kakan?" Izuku screamed out in delight as he witnessed Todoroki accomplish what Bakugu couldn't. The adults, on the other hand, were less than thrilled. Aizawa was across the yard the second he saw Todoroki make the attempt. The man's hair was still floating up along with his strands of the scarf. Quirk activated, ready to catch the boy if he threw himself off as Bakugu did. "Damn brat," Bakugu muttered, the feeling of being inadequate making him feel even smaller than what Todoroki pointed out him being. "Let's not do that again, okay?" Taishiro said shakily, his career flashing through his eyes as he recognized how badly that could have ended if Todoroki had launched himself backward. "These kids are giving me a headache," Aizawa sighed, deactivating his quirk and rubbing his temples with his hand. After saying that, Aizawa heard a whine come from Bakugu. Looking into his eyes, he found an overwhelming shame. In his attempt to seem adequate compared to Todoroki, Bakugu had unintentionally made Aizawa slightly upset. Slightly upset didn't exist in Katsuki's mind. Instead, he thought of adults like his mother. If he wasn't perfect, he shouldn't be. Katsuki felt he had made Aizawa mad in his attempts to be seen as strong and good. "So sorry," Katsuki stuttered, tears swelling in his eyes as he sat in the grass to hug his niece. The emotions in the kid's chest made him unable to speak properly, his mind filled with self-deprecating thoughts. Unlike before in his controlled, intentional attempts to make Aizawa upset as tests, right now he was trying to earn the man's approval by trying his best to seem as good a kid as Todoroki. The blonde had developed trust in Aizawa and now cared about the man's thoughts on him, craving to be worthy of love. And right now he felt like he had failed. "Oh, wait, Bakugu, no, I'm not mad at you," Aizawa said immediately as he realized the weight of his words. The man kneeled down next to the blonde, but Katsuki held strong to his knees, hiding his tears. Only small stuttering breaths were an indication of his crying. "Katsuki, sweetheart, I didn't mean what I said. You're not giving me a headache. I just got a little worried about you guys. I don't want anything bad to happen to you." "You could have gotten hurt," Aizawa explained, Midoriya walking up to them, clasping his fingers together anxiously. "Kachin, why cry? Did you hurt?" Izuku questioned as he walked up to his friend, his eyes showing concern. Todoroki, however, felt uncomfortable with the sudden shift of emotion from the blonde. Walking up to Taishiro, the boy asked if he had done something wrong, which the man quickly reassured him he didn't. Bakugu, you don't have to impress me. I already care about you lots, Aizawa told the boy, thinking maybe all this tough guy act was a play for approval. Yeah, Kachan remember night? Aizawa said lovious. Midoriya recounted the emotional scene last night, where Aizawa made sure they felt cared about. Midoriya grabbed hold of Bakugu's shirt, not to pull on it, but to lay a comforting hand on his friend. Bakugu sniffled and raised his head from his knees, looking at his green-haired friend for a moment, before looking back at Aizawa. Even with his eyes red and puffy, Aizawa could read his emotions. The boy wanted comfort. Izuku is right, I still love you. You don't have to do all that for me. I just want you to have fun, okay? Aizawa said, and slowly raised his hand to lay it on the blonde's hair as Bakugu collected himself. Katsuki accepted the physical comfort for a personal record of 37 seconds, before roughly pushing the man's hand away. Standing up, Bakugu sniffled and wiped the remaining tears from his eyes. Shaking Izuku's arm off him, the blonde dusted himself off and stood up proud again. That's my brave boy, now go have fun. Aizawa praised the blonde for getting up, and Katsuki looked away embarrassed by his emotional outburst. I'm sorry if I upset you, Todoroki said, walking up to Bakugu, but Bakugu just clicked his tongue annoyed, and bumped his shoulder as he passed him. Be nice, Izuku scolded Bakugu, but the blonde just huffed, putting his chew back in his mouth to grind his teeth on it angrily. Shokan used to teach me that thingy, Izuku said, pointing to the wall climb. Seeing a chance to prove at least he was better than Izuku, Katsuki tried his hand at the wall climb first. The blonde made his way up the wall climb, ignoring the rope as he pulled himself up to the top. Nice job, Bakugu, you're a natural, Aizawa called out to him in praise, hoping to validate this accomplishment, unlike his other attempt at validation in the swings. Yeah, Kakan, wow, Midoriya smiled up at him as he pulled Todoroki along behind him. If Todoroki wasn't having fun at the very least, the green boy was making him feel included. Bakugu sat on the top, proudly smiling as he watched Izuku take a try at it. Shoto gave the boy basic instructions, telling him where to put his hands and feet, and which ones to step on and grab. Halfway up, Midoriya smiled up at Bakugu, telling him that he was almost there. Taishiro and Aizawa continued to talk about their own things as they leaned back against the wall of the house. Aizawa talked about the progress he's made with his boys, and Taishiro added to it with his own experiences with Todoroki. I still don't think he gets it. It kind of looks like he's helping them train and gain a skill. Taishiro mumbled sadly, watching how good a teacher Shoto was in showing Izuku how to rock climb. It takes a little time for kids like them to get comfortable and change their views. Just keep at it like you are, and he will get better. Aizawa assured Taishiro, but the man just sighed. I don't have time, Taishiro muttered, a look of disdain in his eyes, a sentiment Aizawa knew too well. And even if I do make a small difference and get him to loosen up and have fun, what if I send him home happy just for him to lose that again, Taishiro added, the look of disgust on his face becoming apparent. You think that will happen if you send him back home? Aizawa questioned, and Taishiro straightened back up. No, I don't think any more physical harm will be had to him. I'm not even allowed all the details, but the one who caused his eye like that is being held in an institution. But I'm worried about letting him go home and him being conditioned into training again. Shit's so corrupt, but maybe they won't push him so hard after this incident. Taishiro said all that despite saying he shouldn't be talking about it. It seems they have taken steps for his protection. The best we can do is have hope in the system, Aizawa said, knowing if he urged his friend to say more, Taishiro would probably say more than allowed, and the man didn't want his friend to lose his job so quickly. Kashan, almost to you! Izuku squealed excitedly as he climbed the rock wall, just a couple of steps from reaching the top. Now that Midoriya was up higher, Todoroki climbed alongside him to guide him better. Are you sure you don't want to hold the rope? Shoto asked, pushing the rope towards the boy, but Izuku batted the rope away, not wanting help since Katsuki did it without the rope. Batting the rope away, however, was a critical mistake on Midoriya's part. Breaking the rhythm Todoroki showed him, Izuku wobbled as he misstepped, causing himself to overreact and push himself back. Seeing his mistake, Izuku tried to grab the rock he just let go of, but his momentum carried him back. A short yelp escaped his lips as he fell backward, arms flailing around as he panicked. Deku, Midoriya! Bakugu and Todoroki both shouted at the same time, their hands shooting out to grab onto Izuku. Bakugu was over the top and managed to grab one of Midoriya's flailing hands, while Todoroki grabbed the front of his shirt. Bakugu pulled the boy up, while Shoto helped Izuku find his balance again. That was scare, Midoriya cried out as he sat next to Bakugu on top, looking down at the height he climbed. Aizawa was prepared to catch him the whole time, watching closely and preparing his quirk, but the boys helped out before he needed to intervene. "You okay?" Todoroki asked as he made his way next to Midoriya. "Aha!" Izuku said, tears welling in his eyes again as he held on to both Todoroki's and Bakugu's shirts as he continued to look down at the height. "Thanks for help, Sho-chan," Izuku thanked his saviors. "You're welcome," Todoroki replied, and Bakugu huffed. This huff from the blonde was softer, more of an acceptance huff than his normal aggressive ones. Bakugu's normal glare at the bi-colored boy was also softer, recognizing Shoto's attempt to save his best friend from falling, making him good in his eyes. "Hey, Kachan liking you," Izuku giggled as he read Bakugu like an open book. The green-haired boy was fluent in most of Bakugu's nonverbal cues. "Huh? Stupid Deku," Bakugu said, a light blush appearing on his face as he stuttered. Todoroki looked into Bakugu's eyes, puzzled by Izuku's words, but this only caused the blonde to bare his teeth at him. This is the end of chapters 34. I'll see you in chapter 35. If you have suggestions, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to know when the next one is out. Have a good day, angels.